The Empire Strikes Back has been playing to capacity audiences since it opened in May. It has turned a 2-foot-high green creature named Yoda into a cult hero and is breaking the box office record set by Star Wars 3 years ago.
Is it going to be as big as Star Wars?
Bigger!
Bigger. And yet a lot of the critics are panning it.
Well, what do they know?
The first camper arrived at the Cinerama on University Avenue shortly after noon on Tuesday. By 9 at night, the line encompassed several dozen people. The all-night vigil ends Wednesday morning at 11 when these people finally get to buy tickets to the first showing of The Empire Strikes Back. Are you going to be missing any classes by being out here?
Yes.
That doesn't bother you?
No.
The Empire is worth it, huh?
Right.
What are you expecting from this one that Star Wars didn't give you?
Build on the characterizations, hopefully.
What time is the final?
10:30.
They don't start selling tickets till 11.
He's here. We'll have more in the morning.
If he's going to buy your ticket, why are you sitting here all night?
Because I wouldn't buy his ticket if he wouldn't sit here all night.
When Star Wars premiered at the Valley Circle Theater a couple of years ago, it had a run of 15 months. The manager of the Cinerama expects Empire to make it through Christmas at least. Most of these people think it'll be going strong much longer than that. When they get to the ticket window, it'll be a bargain compared to other theaters in Southern California. Seats are $4 each here. Hundreds waiting in line in Los Angeles will pay $5.50 a ticket.
Released on the 20th of May 1980, The Empire Strikes Back was a departure from the upbeat tone of the original Star Wars. It was a darker, more complex, and ended famously on a cliffhanger. As a result, initial reactions were mixed. Critics were divided. Some praised its darker tone, character development, and visual effects, while others criticized its slower pace and downbeat ending. Many fans were shocked by the film's darker direction and cliffhanger ending. Some felt betrayed by the lack of a clear-cut victory for the rebels. Over time, as an impact of the film sunk in, appreciation for its storytelling and character arcs grew. Now it's widely considered one of the greatest sequels ever made, although some critics found its darker atmosphere a refreshing change, while others felt it was too depressing. The film was praised for its deeper exploration of characters like Han, Luke, and Vader. Some critics felt the film was too slow-paced compared to the original. The cliffhanger ending was a major point of discussion, with some fans feeling disappointed and others intrigued. It is important to remember that the film landscape in 1980 was very different. Blockbusters with complex narratives and ambiguous endings were less common. Over time, the film's reputation has solidified, and it's now considered a masterpiece of cinematic storytelling.
For those who are among the 900 with news media or promotional tickets, this sneak preview probably will be the only chance to see The Empire Strikes Back without standing in line. When it opens at the Pacific Cinerama Wednesday night, we're expected at the 5-a-day showings for weeks. The admission, $4 for adults, $2 for kids. Among tonight's moviegoers was a high school newspaper critic who dressed just for the occasion.
He's evil. I love it. I love it. It's great.
The Empire was conceived as one of several sequels to Star Wars, carrying the intergalactic conflict forward to a cliffhanging stalemate before others jump it back in time. The $25 million George Lucas production features some new characters as well as most of the old, pitting the rebels against the Imperial forces in battles on an ice planet, in an asteroid field, and on a swampy satellite. Finally, the symbols of good and evil clash again when Luke Skywalker crosses laser swords with Darth Vader.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
Although the critics are disappointed, consumers looking for an escape into fantasy this summer will have the last word.
Left me confused. Didn't understand any of it.
Special effects were tremendous. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, I thought it was pretty good. I didn't like the ending. It could have been a better ending.
It's a nice beginning to a new religion.
It was fantastic.
I like that. Force be with you.
The big question mark is whether the Force is still strong enough to make the Empire successful as Star Wars. If not, the future of the whole series could be lost in space. Gene Cubison, News 8, East San Diego.
Standing in line to see the sequel to Star Wars, but CNN's movie critic thinks The Empire Strikes Back can't match the original. Here's Fred Sachs.
Those huge contraptions are death-dealing machines of the Empire and part of their aggression in the film called The Empire Strikes Back. The Great American Cereal is not a breakfast food, but something that you get hooked on at the theater. First with Star Wars, and then second with The Empire. But if Star Wars was a 10, Empire Strikes Back is only an 8.5. Why? because this sequel to the biggest film of all time has a real reputation to live up to, and even with the addition of some new characters, like the lovable Yoda. He's an authority on the proper use of the Force, and Billy D. Williams, he's a rogue who gets duped by the bad guys. Even with these additions, the ending of Empire and the implied invitation to see the next sequel comes too soon. Not that the picture is short, because it's not. But the ending, which leaves a number of questions unanswered, seems to approach with almost the speed of light. Basically, it's the story of good against evil. Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han Solo are all in good health, but just a little older. Darth Vader is still around, and this time he offers a few surprises and a shocking statement of who he really is. But we'll have to wait till next time to see if he's telling the truth, and what are the consequences, or if Darth is just creating a farce about the Force. In Hollywood, I'm Fred Saxon, Cable News Network.
Both films are made by a 36-year-old Californian named George Lucas. He took us on a tour of his facilities in Northern California to show us some of the technology behind a modern space opera.
Well, this is the stop-motion animation department, and they're making tauntauns run across the snow. They start by measuring out where everything is on the creature, because everything has to move just a sort of a fraction of an inch every time.
Are they looking at something to know what to do next, or are they just doing this out of their heads, sort of, moving at it?
It's a whole art of, they studied movement. They shot animals and studied them against grids and things to study the motion. And then they practiced for months and months doing tests.
The series of still pictures, each slightly different from the one before, become a galloping tauntaun. As a technology, as a science, it's fascinating, but you're ruining my fantasies. I thought those things were real.
And this is our model storage room, where we keep all the models after we finish shooting them. And as you can see,
It may be the world's most expensive toy chest. There are spaceships just inches across, others as large as coffee tables. The most complicated models took 4 or 5 people several months to build. Lucas estimates that some of them are worth as much as $50,000.
We have a scene where the Millennium Falcon flies along the edge of this ship. And so we had to take this little tiny section down here at the nose, you know, just the bare end of it, and reconstruct it to this scale. And this scale is the same scale as this. So the ship flies along, you know, like that.
Well, not quite like that. Before the Millennium Falcon could badger Darth Vader again, special cameras had to be built. The script had to be turned into storyboards with every shot planned out. Props for a whole new world had to be designed and constructed. Settings for those props had to be painted. Explosions, ray gun flares, and laser swords had to be positioned by hand in each frame. And all the elements had to be combined in a colossal multiple exposure. What are you doing right here?
Well, this is where it all comes together. This is sort of the halfway point between when we shoot the film and when it's all put together in one piece. Here we have a reel of elements. As I say, we shoot each individual element. Then they come here to the editorial department, and they sync up all the elements. They put them on top of each other and make marks about where they're supposed to start, when they're supposed to stop. Then they send that over to the optical department, and the optical department then puts it together on one piece of film. Actually, go back and we'll look at that. Okay.
A painted star field, asteroids on wires, bigger asteroids, a spaceship on a stick. Movements carefully controlled to make the viewer feel like he's moving too.
The heart of this entire kind of filmmaking is the duplication of movements.
The true star of the new wave of science fiction films is a robot camera. It may not be as attractive, or as clever, or as talkative as its screen counterparts, but it allows movie makers to do things they could never do before. A ship soaring through space actually is the camera moving around a static model. Electric motors move the camera up, down, and from side to side in a sequence preset on a panel off stage. Once the robot is programmed, it can repeat a complex series of movements with inhuman accuracy, time after time. Much of the development work on the system was done by John Dykstra, now head of his own special effects house in Los Angeles. His latest project was the movie version of Star Trek.
Can I have the camera, please? This camera system, which we've developed over a period of 3 or 4 years, is capable of performing the kinds of functions that used to take people laborious hours by hand to produce.
Nearby, down Dopey Drive on the sprawling Walt Disney lot, is the ACES camera, the robot behind the special effects in the movie The Black Hole. David English is the electronics wizard behind the Disney camera. The operator sits at a computer console and guides the camera from a television monitor. The computer replaces an entire stage crew turning hand cranks and even warns the cameraman if he's about to do something wrong.
We did a shot here. It would have taken us 5 weeks to do that filming sequence of 4 different shots. We did it in 2 days. 2 days at $6,000 or $10,000 a day as compared to 5 weeks at $6,000 or $10,000 a day. So faster, and we did it better. We did it better and faster.
But that's the real world, a place of accountant-inspired high technology. For George Lucas, such science belongs behind the scenes.
We sort of go off on our imaginations, and whatever we can do to entertain ourselves is where we go, whether it's logical or scientific or not. The films have sound and space, and we violate a lot of natural laws just for sort of entertainment and enjoyment effect. Which is the prime mover. But it also gives, I think, young people an interest in space generally.
The complicated mixture of sophisticated technology, space-age machinery, and starry-eyed fantasy in today's science fiction films just may serve as inspiration for a coming generation of scientists. After all, some of today's astronauts, astronomers, and anchormen once found Buck Rogers pretty wonderful.